Hello everyone. Thanks for joining me. I know it's late in the day, but thanks for stopping in and spending some time with me. I'm going to make a few assumptions when it comes to sanitary design, especially focused on the conveyor world. I'm going to make some assumptions, and then we'll have a little bit of discussion towards the latter half of my talk and address these assumptions, if you will. So let's get started. My first assumption obviously is food safety has never been more vital to food processors. Why is that? Back in the day, years and years ago, I was still involved in the food industry years ago. Food processors would make a product and they might sell it regionally, maybe in the state. Today, many food processors, they make their product, it's shipped all over the globe. Directly to the consumer. Indirectly, sometimes a processor's product is used by other food manufacturers as an ingredient for their product. So it's very important, food safety. Let me give you something to think about as far as food safety goes and how important it is. You know, there's over 60 million ready-to-eat meals served every day in just the United States. You think if we have, in terms of food safety, think if we have just 1% failure in food safety. 99% usually is fantastic, right? 1% failure gets 620,000 people sick that day. So there's no room for skimping on food safety. 0.5% gets you over 300,000 people sick. We have to strive as a processor and as an OEM and equipment builder for the food industry. We always have to strive for 100% satisfaction. There's no room for error. Sanitary conveyance plays one of the most important roles in food safety. I once had a guy tell me, from the conveyor standpoint, I've always been involved in conveyors. And one time had a guy tell me, you know, Barry, conveyors is a commodity product. It's not all that, it's one of the last things we think about in putting in a new line or fixing something or what have you. You know, conveyors might not be the most important part of a line, but it's definitely not the least important. It's as important as your big pieces of equipment, your slicers, your blenders, your mixers. If you're not bringing product to these big pieces of equipment and carrying away from these big pieces of equipment, doesn't matter how sanitary designed your slicer is or your blender and such, you've got to convey throughout the plant at the very highest level of sanitary design, right? Imagine, I just made a note here last night, I was talking to my wife, she was talking about dinners and things coming up. Imagine being home with your own family and you want to make them a real nice, wonderful dinner. You get all the utensils out, your mixing bowls, your spoons, spatulas, they're all clean. Your ingredients, you get out of the refrigerator, you treat them very carefully. So you you cut everything up, you put it in the bowl, you mix it up with your clean bowl and your clean spoon, and you grab it out of there and you portion it with your hands on the pan and you cook it, you serve it. What if your hands were dirty the whole time? Conveying is the same difference, right? You can have all of the right things in place. If you don't bring it from one section to the other throughout the line, you're not there. So sanitary conveyance is definitely one of the most important aspects to your line. Oop. So with that in mind, choose the right conveyor designs and suppliers to protect your consumers, your brand, and your bottom line. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. Also, I want to leave with trying to give you some food for thought, if you will. No pun intended. But what are the direct and indirect costs of food recalls? What to consider when designing your plant your lines, what types of equipment that can support your food safety initiatives and culture, and specific ways that a well-designed line from the conveyance standpoint can help you ensure food safety. I'll introduce myself, Barry Whitman. I'm the Director of Business Development for the Grody Brands, family of brands. I started working with the food industry in 1985, a long time ago. I cut my teeth in light-duty conveyor belting in the food industry, which means I sold conveyor belting to all of the different food industries, whether it be meat and poultry, snacks, breads, candies, basically all of them. I crawled around and installed all those conveyor belts on the floor during sanitation times and things like that. So I'm not sure that makes me an expert, but it definitely makes me the old guy that's seen a lot of stuff, and I enjoy sharing what I've seen, and if we can pull something from that, great. So we'll talk about some of the costs involved in food safety failures. You've seen a lot of these, but I'll cover them anyway. You know, there's been a lot of high-profile food recalls just in the last year, cause illness, hospitalizations, deaths. Some of the costs you have involved are millions of dollars of investigating where the food safety issue came from. Indirect costs as far as lost sales, brand damage, reputation loss, disruption to the industry. What do you mean by disruption to the industry? What do I mean by that? So let's say if a group of citizens, consumers get sick in an area of the United States, and it's from brand X that they ate, and it's always traced back, everything can be traced back to what caused this sickness, right? So brand X becomes famous for making all these people sick. Not only does that harm the company, the plant that made brand X and their bottom dollar, but the industry can suffer because there's other companies that might make brand X as well. And if the general population starts seeing as that brand as something that made these people sick, they want to stay away from that brand no matter who makes it. So it's a major enough recall will affect the industry, not just a company. So on those assumptions, we're going to talk a little bit about choosing the right conveying equipment and some considerations to keep in mind as you move forward with this. There's, in general, I'll talk about 4 different categories of conveying. Belt conveyors, horizontal motion conveyors, vibratory conveyors, and dumpers. And first thing you might say is dumpers. Well, dumpers is not a conveyor. But I categorize it in the conveying world because dumpers many times is your point A that feeds a lot of conveyors. So I think it's very important to include that in your conveying sanitary design ideas as well. So you've got belt conveyors. This provides us our seamless line of integration. You've got straight conveyors, curved conveyors, incline conveyors. I don't have a lot of pictures of different conveyors here, but these happen to be a retractor conveyor. You've got horizontal motion conveyors, which are very good for gentle frozen product, delicate, maybe seasoned product. It's a sliding motion of the conveyor. Very gentle on the product, so you're not shaking or causing the seasoning to come off your product, something along that line. Vibratory conveyors, most ideal for a cooked or a frozen product. It's a vibratory action that moves the conveyor or moves your product along. I said dumpers as well. There are starting to be some companies, we're one of them, that we have upped the ante, if you will, in terms of sanitary design of dumpers to more of a ready-to-eat design, rather than a lot of your old style dumpers have the hollows and mating points and things like that. There are a few companies that view dumpers as the start of your conveying process, making it very important. One thing that I'd like to mention about conveyors, I see conveyors as kind of the magic juice, if you will, into a plant. It's the thing that joins everything. You're sitting in a plant and you got to go around a corner. Well, we can do that with a conveyor. You've got to change elevations. We can do that with a conveyor. You've got to align product. We can do that with a conveyor. You can do so much with a conveyor. And I guess it brings me back to, it touches the product all the time, so we've got to have a sanitary design. I got behind on the slide, sorry about that. Ensure your conveyor's built in the right materials. We all know stainless steel, plastics only, smooth, non-porous, corrosion-resistant surfaces, the right surfaces of your stainless steel, no painted drives and bearings, things like that. Make sure your materials can withstand the high temperatures and washdowns. One other point I want to make here is if you're a processor, make sure that your equipment manufacturer works only with stainless steel and plastics. They don't work with mild steel, not even in a different building, quite honestly. When you think about you might have some of the same people work on mild steel product as you would with a stainless steel product. They are welding potentially on it, and they go over here and grind on it. Even if they're not using the same grinder, they get grinder dust on their clothes, and they go work on something that's stainless steel. That dust contaminates the stainless steel. Now you're going to have some rust issues. Sooner or later, you're going to have issues there. So if you're a processor, talk to your OEMs and make sure they're working only with that stainless steel. And if you're an OEM, do what you can to do only the stainless steel and plastics. This contamination will happen. I guarantee it'll happen from one type of steel to the other. Other consideration, implement smarter sanitary design features. Simplify your design. Make less joints. Simplify your design. If you can go a 50-foot span with one conveyor instead of 5 conveyors, you have to do it. You're transferring product less, potentially contaminating your product less. Toolless maintenance. We've all heard some of these, and they're kind of redundant. Open frame design allows for faster and more complete cleaning. Angle your, don't have horizontal, so no pooling of liquids and things like that. Washdown rated. But we've all heard the comments, if you can't see it or can't reach it, you can't clean it. It's the truth. I'll give you some examples here of some pictures of open frame design. You can see this is a trough conveyor. Very, very simple, open design. It's a very smart design from a sanitary standpoint. Easy to clean. You can see, I guess I can't walk now, sorry, but you can see in the upper right-hand corner, they're return rollers. You don't have hollow rollers where you could have bacteria breaches. You can see your open design in the lower right-hand corner with the legs and channels instead of tubing. There's a number of benefits you're going to realize from sanitary design, and it's not just that the conveyor is easier to clean. The conveyor stays cleaner throughout the cycle of production, which means you're not seeding product. So you're not contaminating product, you're getting into, and then putting it into package and reducing your shelf life. So that there's a number of benefits from sanitary design. You're going to see less product on the floor because you're going to have less transfers and more careful transferring, more careful handling of the product. So there's a number of things you're going to benefit from, not just making the conveyor cleaner. So we'll talk about how well-designed conveyor systems can help ensure our food safety programs. You can proactively combine and eliminate processes. Like I alluded to earlier, a conveyor can do many things. You can use a conveyor to align product, not just move it to a piece of equipment that aligns it, but you can use the conveyor to align it. You can use a conveyor like a vibratory conveyor with filters in it to size your product that runs over the conveyor. You can de-water washed product. So a conveyor can be used to do many different things instead of just conveyor product. And the more you can combine that, the less handoffs you need, the less types of equipment you need, and so on, right? Here are some examples of the value-added applications that I'm talking about. The upper right hand is sizing French fries. We're conveying it, but at the exact same time, we're pulling out French fries that are too small. We're doing the sizing. Same with the lower right hand of chiclets or something like that. You're pulling out double chiclets and things like that. We're mixing product. The upper left-hand corner has, I think, a metal detector there, possibly. We're doing more than one process in the conveying world, okay? I already talked about the conveying as far as X-raying and detection. A lot of people, I'm not going to pick on the X-ray and detection companies. They make fantastic equipment that is definitely needed. But sometimes a conveyor company can integrate that on their own equipment. You don't have to buy something that's mounted to its own conveyor and fit it all into your line. You can integrate that right into just a conveyor system. Conveyors ensuring food safety. We can also mount CIP systems. CIP systems that can run during production, CIP systems that can run between products. Consider belt scrapers. I think I've got some pictures now. Yes. Consider belt scrapers, belt lifters. You can see bottom left-hand corner here. Belt lifter helps gain accessibility for your sanitation people. Clean the bottom of the belt, clean the top of the conveyor. Lower right-hand corner, flip back sidewalls. You can see that's the sidewall of a conveyor. You can see a hinge there. That sidewall can be hinged out, enabling you to, again, gain access for cleanability and such. Top right-hand corner, it shows you a combination of a quick release take-up with belt lifters, and you can even see the gentleman here. The bed of the conveyor is made out of rails that can be removed without tools. No maintenance tools have to be brought into the environment. Potential contamination opportunity there. With toolless, the folks can remove the rail beds, clean them, put them right back. Toolless operation is integral to a good food safety program. Food safety should be the foundation of a conveyor equipment selection. I'm not saying it's the only part of the foundation of the conveyor. You've got operations and it's got to have throughput and everything, but the realistic point is if you're a processor and you're not making a food safe product, you're going to be in trouble sooner or later. You definitely will be in trouble sooner or later. It's got to be the number one category that you satisfy. It's food safety, food safety, food safety. If you do the food safety things correct and pay close attention to it, it's going to benefit, like I said, it's going to benefit your operations. You're going to have less waste. going to benefit your maintenance because you'll have toolless designed equipment. Maintenance won't have as much work to do on things like that. It's going to benefit your quality control. You're going to have better shelf life potentially of product, just because everything's cleaner during that conveying time. So investing in the right systems protects the consumer, protects you as a processor, your brand. It protects your bottom line. It protects the industry. Completely protects the food industry. Sorry, these are two backwards slides. What I want to say is, if you're a processor, you need to demand the highest aspect of food safety from your equipment suppliers, all of your equipment suppliers. Demand of them to up their game in food safety, sanitary design. It's a must. If you're an equipment builder, you need to continuously look at getting better. How can I get better at building a more food safe piece of equipment from a sanitary design standpoint? We owe that to the food processors, and we all owe it to the consumer. It just couldn't be any more important. Food safety, and us from a conveyor and equipment standpoint, sanitary design is something that we have got to do always a better and better job supplying to our customers. Our customers need to demand it from us.